Borys Wrzesnewskyj is a former Liberal member of Parliament. He is currently the head of the Human Rights Commission of the Ukrainian World Congress, and he joins us right now. Mr. Wrzesnewskyj, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Now, as you and I are speaking, we continue to get more details about those missile strikes launched by Russia targeting Ukraine's power grid. You have contacts on the ground in Ukraine. What are you hearing so far?
Well, these were devastating, terrifying strikes. Russia clearly wants to completely disconnect Ukraine from electricity, which means heating. But there were two types of strikes today. The civilian infrastructure, and in particular, what was worrisome was that they not only hit thermal and hydro power plants, but the electricity feeding Ukraine's nuclear power plants. So there was a period of time today that all of Ukraine's nuclear power plants were off-grid. There are emergency backup systems, but that's a terribly dangerous game to play. If there had been a meltdown at any of those nuclear power plants as a result of these strikes today, that would have had devastating consequences, not just for Ukraine, but across Europe. That's the sort of game being played. But it wasn't just civilian energy infrastructure that was being hit. In Zaporizhzhia, a maternity hospital was hit with a drone. And this is a continuation of the sort of terror and genocidal nature, speaks to the genocidal nature of this war. It's similar to what we saw with the general leading the Russian forces currently in Ukraine, what he did in Syria, hitting hospitals and maternity hospitals. That's what's happening in Ukraine. It's happened regularly, and that's contrary to Article D and E of the UN Genocide Convention.
Well, and in fact, Ukraine is already calling this a war crime.
Well, I would take it a step further. They've committed war crimes starting February 24th. Sequential war crimes of every nature. Mass rapes, mass killings. We have the burial sites, mass burial sites, destruction of civilian infrastructure, crimes that fit the UN Genocide Convention's articles. Every single article from A to E has been met. So this is a genocidal crime and a continuation of sequential genocidal war crimes against the Ukrainian people.
So I'm wondering what you think Canada's response needs to be, because Canada has stepped up to help Ukraine. And against that backdrop, we're now seeing in the United States Republicans, some of them who are going to control Congress now, questioning the amount of aid Ukraine is getting from the U.S. All of that said, what do you hope Canada now does? What path do you want Canada to follow at this point?
So Canada does have the capacity to provide certain very specific types of military equipment that Ukraine needs. We do have the M777s. We have approximately 25 that we could provide. We announced $500 million towards military aid for Ukraine just in this past week. And what could be done? Let's use that money to buy new ones for the Canadian military, but let's ship the ones that are sitting gathering dust. Artillery is something Ukraine critically needs. We have labs that came back from Afghanistan. Although the minister says many are in decrepit state, there are also, now numbers vary, and I'm not an expert in this, but I've been told over and over that there are somewhere from 70 to 90 that could be sent into Ukraine. So there's equipment that could be sent. And of course, we need to ramp up the training of Ukrainian soldiers. Our Project Unifier needs to be ramped up in Poland and in the UK.
Borys Wrzesnewskyj, I appreciate the time today. Thank you for all of that.
Thank you.